that I've received the draft Finance Bill 2025 from the Cabinet.
On June 19, 2025, the National Assembly made a bold decision that is sparking conversations across the nation. The Finance Bill 2025 has been passed, but without a significant change, one that protects your privacy and upholds the Constitution. Let's dive into what happened and why it matters for you.
And I congratulate the team. Mr. Speaker, those of us who are lawyers know that even in law, we are moving from confrontation, from litigation to mediation.
The Finance Bill 2025 is no ordinary piece of legislation. It's the backbone of Kenya's 4.26 trillion budget for the 2025-2026 financial year, funding everything from infrastructure to education and healthcare. But one clause in the origin draft raised eyebrows, a proposal to give the Kenya Revenue Authority sweeping powers to access your personal and financial data without a court order.
Consequence of deleting 1B, section 59, 1B of the Tax Procedures Act would therefore mean that the commissioner may have access to trade secrets and private and personal data held on behalf of customers or collected in course of doing business.
We strictly adhere to data protection guidelines. Data governance is a core aspect of our pursuit.
These clauses aim to repeal Section 59A in bracket 1B of the Tax Procedures Act, which currently requires KRA to seek judicial approval before accessing sensitive data. If passed, KRA could have tapped into bank accounts, M-Pesa transactions, and other personal records at will. For many Kenyans, this felt like a direct threat to privacy, a right guaranteed under Article 31 of our Constitution.
Randomly, we're able to access all this personal information already in your system. So if you grant the powers that you seek here, how would you guarantee Kenyans that their data will be protected if already all that data will be available online? And remember, with eTIMS now, every time if I want to claim for my Uber receipts, then I give them my PIN number. So my Uber driver could easily have my PIN number and be able to pull all that personal information about taxpayers.
The objective is not to open and avail data from our side to any other party, but for us to be able to acquire the data that is necessary for purposes of tax adjudication or tax assessment. So it's data that will be incoming and not for us to be sharing data.
The public outcry was swift. From ex-post to streets conversation, Kenyans voiced fears about government overreach. Legal experts weighed in, warning that the clause could violate constitutional protections. Members of Parliament listened. During heated debates in the National Assembly, legislators across party lines argued that the proposal was not only invasive but potentially unconstitutional.
There should be no misinformation, disinformation, misrepresentation, and misinformation of the public, Mr. Speaker. The finance bill should be interpreted in accordance with what is written in the finance bill. And please, we have only one finance bill in the House. If you want to import your own things into the finance bill, that please don't mislead Kenyans.
In a rare show of unity, the National Assembly voted to drop the controversial clause on June 19, 2025. This decision ensures that KRA must continue seeking court orders to access personal data, safeguarding Kenyans' privacy. It's a victory for constitutional rights and a reminder that public pressure can shape policy.
But this is much more fundamental. I support Mr. Speaker.
With the clause removed, the Finance Bill 2025 is now a linear, less contentious document. It outlines how the government plans to raise and spend the 4.26 trillion in the next financial year. Key priorities include boosting infrastructure, improving healthcare access, and supporting small businesses. But the bill's passage is just one step in the process.
To support devolution, county governments will receive 405.1 billion in the financial year 2025-2026 as an equitable share of revenue raised nationally. In order to ensure food and nutrition security, infrastructure development, improved water and sanitation systems, among others. County governments will receive an additional 69.8 billion as additional allocation.
The bill now heads to President William Ruto's desk for assent. Once signed into law, it will officially kickstart the 2025-2026 budget cycle. Political analysts are watching closely as the president's decision could signal his administration's stance on balancing revenue collection with citizens' rights.
We now have people who claim tax refunds because they run bakeries, and we are paying a lot of money to many bakeries. But you know what they're doing? They have more accountants in those bakeries than people who bake any bread. This, ladies and gentlemen, we must have a candid conversation and stop it.
So, what does this mean for you? The rejection of the KRA clause is a win for privacy, but the finance bill's broader implications will touch every Kenyan, from tax policies to public services. This legislation shapes our daily lives as the government seeks to meet its ambitious revenue targets.
Mr. Speaker, the on-source revenue policy recommended the development of a national framework legislation to regulate the introduction of taxes, fees and charges by county governments. Consequently, the National Treasury and other stakeholders developed the county government's revenue raising process bill, which is currently before Parliament for consideration. Again, I urge the Honourable House to consider the bill and prioritize its enactment.
Questions remain. Will the budget deliver on its promises, and how will Kenyans hold leaders accountable?
What they've attempted this year is to move away from items that are very public-facing and focus more on businesses. This document was meant to get us closer to job creation and economic growth. I don't think it's quite achieved that, because it's going to add the cost of goods, add the cost of doing business, and making the economy slow down.
Digital currencies, they are different use cases. You can use that as payment of salary. And when you use that as payment of salary, that means at the point I'm paying you that, personal income tax is already deducted on that. So that means if I'm still going to tax the transfer, it means in addition to the personal income tax, I'm also deducting another tax on that.
Kenya's political landscape is evolving, and staying informed is more important than ever. The Finance Bill 2025 shows that your voice matters. Keep engaging, keep questioning, and let's build a stronger, fair nation together. For Maisha TV, I'm William Juma.